Hey folks, this is a video that deals with the right triangle that corresponds to an angle in standard position. We talked about an angle in standard position in the last section of this textbook. So you'll notice here that the first thing is that you're going to draw an angle in standard position where the terminal side is through the coordinate xy, and I already have that picture drawn for you. How do I get the standard right triangle from this? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a right angle that's on the x-axis, but this is key now. It cannot be at the origin. So the right angle cannot be at the origin. So I'll take my coordinate xy and I'm just going to drop it straight down. Sorry, not with the eraser. Drop it straight down to the x-axis where I have formed a right angle with the x-axis. But that right angle is not at the origin. What is at the origin is always going to be my angle theta. So right here is where my angle theta is. Now, there are several things that I can put in here as labels on my triangle. We know that if my terminal point here was at xy, that this side here of my triangle is going to be a distance of x. This side is going to be a distance of y. And then we're going to call the hypotenuse, we'll almost always call it r for radius, because remember that that terminal side is swinging around the circle and we just so happen to stop it. So these are the three letters on here. Look at the words over on the right, as well as the directions up above. Label the legs and the hypotenuse. In this particular picture, my legs are going to be sides x and y, and my hypotenuse is going to be side r. And then also notice that I've given you two words, the adjacent and the opposite. In order to talk about adjacent and opposite, I have to focus on the angle. So pick an angle. In this case, let's pick the theta, which is most commonly chosen. Pick the theta and ask yourself which side is opposite the angle theta. So in this case, the side y is going to be opposite my angle theta. If we were talking about adjacents, the side x is adjacent or next to my angle theta. And maybe your thought is, well, r is also adjacent to theta, but remember this, that the hypotenuse is never going to be called the adjacent or the opposite. It always gets its own name, and we just call it the hypotenuse. Also remember the Pythagorean theorem. We talked about this earlier in the semester very briefly. You probably learned the Pythagorean theorem as a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The way that I like to think of Pythagorean theorem, so I don't have to worry about letters and where to put them, is going to be leg 1 squared plus leg 2 squared is equal to the hypotenuse squared. And then I don't have to worry about the letters that are already existing on my triangle.